Bless the Lord. 1 Corinthians 1:9 and verse number 19. Paul is saying, for though I am free from all, I have made myself a servant to all. I'm free because I have brought myself to this position where I am indebted and I'm a servant to everyone, that I might win more of them. My task, my obligation, my focus is to win people to Christ. And he says, to the Jews, I became as a Jew. He was Jewish. He said, and when I'm among the Jews, I'm going to adopt everything according to their culture and so on. He says, in order to win the Jews. To those under the law, I became as one under the law. He says, though not being myself under the law, even though I am not obligated now to fulfill the Mosaic law and so on. He says, I still, when I'm with them, I will do whatever is necessary that my windows under the law. And then he says, to those outside the law, I became as one outside the law, not being outside the law of God, but under the law of Christ. He says, to those who have no regard for Old Testament Judaism, the Sinai covenant or anything like that, he says, yes, I come to them and I present the gospel. I am not under, in that scenario, I'm not under the law, but still I'm under the law of Christ, that I might win those outside the law. Paul is, you could probably call this cross-cultural evangelism. Paul is adapting his approach, his behavior. And we're not talking here about sin, but in a sense, it's the cultural adaptation he's making so that he can win whatever group he's ministering to. To the weak, I became weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all people, that by all means I might save some. Whereas one version says, I have become all things to all men, that by all means I might save some. He is adapting his approach. You know, as you go into a different country where they're dressed in a particular way, they're eating certain foods, or this is the way they do their services. You know, you want to adapt your strategy, your approach within that setting. You're not changing your message. You're not changing the gospel. You're not changing the word of God. You're not changing the commandments of the Lord or anything like that. But your approach, your style, your different, the way you preach, the way you teach, the songs you sing, the kind of genre of music that you use, all of this would be changed so that you can present the gospel to that particular group. So this is where the flexibility comes in, and many times we can be caught up with tradition and we're not able to adjust our approach so that we can win people to Christ. North Americans worship differently, the culture is different. In the West Indies is different, in Nigeria it's different, and I guess in Europe it's different. And so we've got to use our wisdom and change our approach, adapt our approach, be able to adjust so that we can reach different people with the message of the cross.